Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this afternoon's event, which is about the Southeast Asia-Europe Joint Funding Scheme for Research and Innovation. This is an information session and a matchmaking event. My name is Simon Grimley, and I'll be moderating the first session today, as well as the breakout session on sustainable food production. I work with the International Cooperation Department of Thailand's National Science and Technology Development Agency, or NSTDA for short, and we're very pleased to be not only supporting today's event, but also participating as a funding agency in the actual 7th call. In the first session today, we will hear from a number of speakers who will provide you information about the content of the call, eligibility, funding requirements, as well as how you submit your proposal online. And then in session 2, we will break out into 2 rooms, one on sustainable food production and one on climate change. And for those of you who are in the climate change room, you just need to stay where you are. And for those that will move to sustainable food production, you will see a pop-up window. You just need to click that and click join, and you'll be taken to the matchmaking event on sustainable food production. Now, just for a bit of housekeeping, the standard stuff. Please turn off your camera. Please mute your microphone. And if you have questions at any time during the event, please type those in the chat box on the right-hand side of your screen, and we will manage these questions and do our best to answer them over the course of the event this afternoon. Also, please note that we'll be sending you, in a follow-up email, we'll be sending you a link to the presentations today. So please don't worry about that. As soon as the event is over, we will be contacting you all of you who joined today, and we'll send you a link to the information about today's call, or from today's call. So let's get started. It is my pleasure to introduce you to my colleague here at NSTDA, NSTDA. Her name is Dr. Lily Eurwilaichitr. She is Vice President International at NSTDA, and she will kindly give us some welcome remarks before we get started in the information session. So over to you, Dr. Lily.
Thank you, Simon. Can you hear me okay? Okay, so a very good morning to everyone in the room and a very good afternoon to our colleague here in Southeast Asia. It is my great pleasure to welcome you to the Southeast Asia-Europe Joint Funding Scheme for Research and Innovation, Information and Matchmaking event. NSTDA or NSTDA is very pleased to be supporting this event with our partners at the LR in Germany, the ITI in Indonesia, and at the European Commission. So today's event is an excellent opportunity for researchers to learn more about Southeast Asia Europe Joint Funding Scheme, or JFS, and to find potential project partners for the 7th call, which is open now. The JFS provides a unique funding platform for researchers from Europe and Southeast Asia to come together and tackle some of the most challenging problems facing the world today, such as climate change and sustainable food production. We are most honored to have with us today Dr. Wasisto, a JFS grantee, who will share his thought on how you can develop a successful proposal for the JFS. His first-hand experience will help guide you in developing your research proposal. I would like to express my sincere appreciation to all of today's presenters for devoting their time to this event. And I look forward to hearing about your exciting project ideas. I wish all of you a successful meeting today. Thank you. Simon.
Thank you, Dr. Lily, for those welcome remarks. Now let's get started with the information session. Our first speaker today is Dr. Adele Clausen. She is the JFS program manager and has in fact been working for the joint funding scheme and helping manage the joint funding scheme for the last, well, almost since the beginning, for the last 3 years. So there are a few people who know more about this scheme than Adele, and she is joining us from DLR in Germany, in Bonn, Germany. So Adele, over to you for an introduction to the JFS.
Yeah, thank you, Simon. I hope you can hear me well. Okay, perfect. So yeah, I'm very happy to be here to speak here today. Thank you for NSTDA to help us to set up this meeting. I'm very impressed that we have just at the moment like more than 130 participants already. As you said, I'm working for the joint funding scheme almost since the beginning, and I can tell you that the scheme is gaining in dynamics, and it's very nice to see that we have a growing community of researchers that are getting linked, and always new consortia are set up with a very exciting research ideas. So it's really my pleasure to be here to present to you the scheme. And yeah, thank you for all of you taking part in that. As Simon said already, we would like to introduce to you how the scheme is working. So I will share my screen now with you so that you can see my presentation. Let me see. Okay, share. I think you should see my presentation now. As I cannot see the videos anymore, please, Simon, can you just give me a short note if you can see my presentation?
We can see that, yeah, we can see your presentation, Adele.
Okay, perfect, thanks. We are currently actually in the 7th call of the joint funding scheme, so we have quite a history already. And you see that there are 3 people on the slides. It's me, Adele, and then we have also Finarya and Wu, which are colleagues from Indonesia and also from Germany, even though the name is Vietnamese.
Sorry, Adele.
Yes?
Your presentation is in presenter mode. Can you maybe switch the mode to full screen?
It
Yes,
should be full screen.
Yes,
Now
yes, now it's full.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we are 3 people that are guiding you through what's the joint funding scheme and how you can apply for funding today. Very general information. The joint funding scheme actually launches calls for proposals on an annual basis, typically in summertime, about June. The calls are launched, and the last call has been launched on 15th of June and is still open for application. The joint funding scheme funds research and innovation projects, and in these projects there are local and national funding agencies involved from Southeast Asia and from Europe. The coordination of the full scheme is actually initiated from the European Commission, and I'm working on behalf of the European Commission, implementing the coordination of the scheme. And you may see later on that we have plenty of topics that we are covering with our scheme. The topics for this calls are selected every year jointly with all the participating funding agencies. Here you see me as the joint funding scheme program manager, but I'm working not alone. I have my colleague here at the project management agency, Wu, who you will hear also later. He's a very important person for me, supporting me in every regard. And yeah, so we are available for you whenever you have general questions about the joint funding scheme. We are supported by 2 very important institutions from Southeast Asia, which is the Indonesian Science Fund on the one hand, DP in short, and here we have Ms. Finarya Legoh, who will also be part of this presentation later on. And we have also Adam, who is supporting us as well in being part of the call secretariat. We have now a little switch in the 7th call due to some administrative issues. That's why we're very happy that NSTDA also supports us. So they are also acting as a call secretariat together with DP and yeah, Dr. Lily, she already introduced us. And we have also Te, or her full name is Pachara Umprasert, from Thailand, and we have ARPA1, who is a national contact point and also working for the call secretariat. So you see, we have plenty of people running this scheme, and whenever you have questions, contact one of us and you will hopefully be helped immediately. To get an impression of our scheme, I would like to give you some numbers. We have until now received 178 project proposals. So you can see it's really a high number, very diverse proposals. We are currently funding 42 research projects, so a comparably good number of successful project proposals. We have 30 million euros that have been provided by funding agencies, of which we are currently spending 14 million euros. We cannot always spend all the money. And we have 18 countries from Southeast Asia and from Europe being involved in the Southeast Asia-Europe joint funding scheme until now. As I mentioned, we have many thematic areas that are covered by the scheme, and we are adding almost every year new topics. So we have quite a big focus on health issues like infectious diseases. Of course, coronavirus is bothering all of us, and that was also a part of the last call's topic. We have lots of times dealt with antimicrobial resistance. We have also digital health, that was a topic in the past. But we have also a focus on more like environmental issues. Climate change, as you may know already, is part of the 7th call. Water resource management has been a topic. Sustainable food production is also part of the current call. We have had bioeconomy as a topic. And then we have also topics like cross-cutting disciplines like nanotechnologies and also smart cities. Here you can see also the number of projects per country that has been participating in the joint funding scheme until today. You can see that Thailand, Indonesia, Vietnam are strong partners from Southeast Asia. We're very happy that this year we have additional funders from Malaysia and also from Netherlands. They are not appearing yet as they are not funding proposals yet, but hopefully soon. And in Europe, Germany is a quite strong partner, but Switzerland, France, and Turkey are also quite strong, and Belgium is gaining also in importance. We have some basic rules that actually apply for all our calls. We have a very important rule, which is the 2+1 rule. It's it's a bit special. It's making the program a bit complex, but also very interesting from my opinion. 2+1 rule means that each project consortium that would like to ask for funding needs to be bi-regional, meaning there needs to be partner from Southeast Asia and from Europe, and it has to be multilateral. So there must be a minimum of 3 partners in each consortium. The requirement is that at least 1 partner from Southeast Asia and 1 partner from Europe must be eligible for funding under the joint funding scheme partners. And then there must be a 3rd partner, which can be either from Europe or from Southeast Asia. That partner may be eligible for funding, but is not requirement. So if a 3rd partner can bring his own funding, that would also be okay in case that he's not eligible for requesting funding through the joint funding scheme countries. Additional partners can always join a consortium. We already had submissions of proposals with 9 or 10 partners, so that's all possible as long as you fulfill the minimum requirement of the 2+1 rule. As I mentioned before already, partners of non-participating countries, they can join as well, but they need to bring their own funding. The coordinator of the scheme always needs to be eligible for funding. So that one needs to be selected from the 2 partners that have to be definitely eligible for funding through the scheme. If you're wondering who is taking part in the scheme, actually that can be any funding agency from Southeast Asia or from Europe. It can be a national funder, for example, in Germany, where I'm from, we have BMBF, who will fund more or less all German researchers, no matter if they are from university, from industry, and no limitations to the location where they are from in Germany. But we have also some local funders or institutional funders. For example, from Malaysia, we have 2 universities acting as funders. And these universities are funding only the researchers from their own university. We have another special situation, for example, in Belgium, where we have 2 regions. One region in Belgium is French speaking, the other one is Flemish speaking, and they have different funders. So you see that we have different type of funders, and you always have to check the specific funding conditions if you're interested in requesting for funding, and that's all laid down in the so-called national regulations. So each funder that is participating in a call will have national regulations. The national regulations are published on our website in the call text at the very bottom. And there you can see who exactly a funder can provide funding for. The funders, they are actually committing to a so-called virtual common pot, the budget. We have a principle of no money crossing borders. So they provide money to the pot, but this money will be used only to fund the researchers from this funder. So as I mentioned before, from Germany, the funding will be used only for German partners. For example, from University Malaya, the funding will be used only for researchers from University Malaya, and so on. We have some exemptions. There can be special arrangements for Cambodia, Laos, and Myanmar, as these countries they are they like to join the scheme, and they are joining more or less since the beginning. We have several projects running with partners from Cambodia, Laos, and Myanmar, quite successful projects, but the budget is very limited in these countries, and typically they can provide only in-kind personnel costs. So we have, in order to allow them to join the scheme, to enable also researchers from these countries to join a consortium, there can be cross-funding from other funders. You can also check your national regulations. It will be written in the national regulations if your funding organization allows cross-funding for Cambodia, Laos, and Myanmar. I know, for example, Turkey is providing that service. Switzerland has provided this service, and Germany. I think that's it, more or less. It's a complex scheme, but it's also quite flexible, which makes it attractive. Any funder can join in any call. They don't need to, it's not binding for a long time. It's just binding for that one call. We have one scheme and many partner countries, so it's not necessary that there are lots of bilateral agreements between countries or organizations, but we have this one scheme and all these different countries involved. We like very much that we have also small countries being involved. Belgium is a quite small country. Netherlands are joining this call, the 7th call, also a comparable small country. But also from Southeast Asia, we have smaller countries being involved. We have, for example, Brunei Darussalam also being a partner in the scheme. So it's very nice to have this bunch of countries which you can select from to set up a consortium for your research proposal. The topics, as I said it before, they are always selected amongst the funders that want to join a call. there's actually one condition: it needs to be of common bi-regional interest, the topics. And yeah, as we selected jointly, it always is of bi-regional interest. The 2+1 rule is very diverse, but what we experience, besides the complexity, it also gives the chance to get in touch with new research partners. Often we see that the situation is that two partners know each other already, they are interested in collaborating, and then to fulfill our 2+1 rule, they need to search for a third partner. And that's very good because they learn about new partners, which always yeah, widens the horizon of the activities and helps us to link amongst the countries and the regions. So we have a quite large networking platform also for the funders, not only for the researchers, and I think that's quite interesting about this scheme. A short overview of the past of the joint funding scheme. We have two phases. The first phase, joint funding scheme 1, started in 2017, and we had 2 pilot calls there, the first and the second call. And it was quite successful, so that the European Commission decided that they want to continue the support of the coordination of that scheme. And they also asked us to enlarge the activities. So from 2019 on, we had parallel calls, one focusing on S&T, more basic research, and then another one focusing more on innovation with higher technology readiness levels being addressed. That was also quite successful. We also implemented conference-attached matchmaking events to link researchers. And yeah, we had that in Southeast Asia. In 2020, we had that in Europe, the conference-attached matchmaking events, whereby all of you know that that was time of Corona already. So we had to do that virtual, but it was attached to European conferences. And we also launched a partnering tool. That's one issue I would like to highlight. I would like to invite all of you to become part of our joint funding scheme partnering tool. It's available on our website, and everyone can register, set up a profile. And as soon as your profile is published, we will give our approval to each profile to make sure that we have no fake profiles. But once we approve your profile, then you will get access to all the other profiles that are registered already. We have currently more than 100 profiles already, so it's quite interesting to have a look who's there and what are their interests. You can also set up like project ideas. You can set up partner requests if you're still looking for a specific partner to complement your consortium. So yeah, we would like to welcome you in the partnering too. 2021 is now the 7th call, currently open, and I think that's the main reason why we are here in this event. You will learn more about the 7th call from Finarya, who will give you a better insight of the details. One more thing I would like to inform you about is that we are organizing a so-called Meet My Lab event with the joint funding scheme. Meet My Lab as a format which was actually initiated by Euraccess, which you may know as well, a network of researchers in Southeast Asia, also linking to Europe and the European funding programs. And this Meet My Lab will be organized together with the joint funding scheme the next 2 times. It will be on 8th and 9th of September, and we are currently looking for speakers. The speakers will be asked to present their laboratory, their infrastructure and facilities through a live video tour. So if you're interested to present your laboratory, your research facilities, check our website. You can see here also the links. You will get the slides, so you will have the links later on. Just check it out and see if that's interesting for you, if you would like to apply to be a speaker in one of our lab tours. Yeah, I think that's the most important thing from my side, and I would like to hand over now to Finarya from DP, who is currently the most important person in Indonesia to host the call secretariat, and she knows everything about the 7th call and can give you some insight in that. Finarya, are you there?
Yes, Adele,
Okay.
thank you.
Perfect. So you
Okay.
could just indicate when to switch the slides, okay?
Sure,
And then
sure.
we'll do that for you.
Thank you so much. Yes, and good morning, good afternoon to all of you. Thank you for coming. The chat, is quite, busy at the moment. So maybe Vu and Adam and also Adele could, just help us to answer in the chatting area. Okay, I'd like to continue about this 7th call that the main topic is sustainable food production and climate change for resilience and adaptation, and then launched in June 15, and it will be closed at the 15th of October. So just I just like to remind you about the closing date, because in the European side it's about 12 p.m. and Southeast Asia's side is 5 p.m. And then we now have the Malaysia for the newcomer, new funders, and also from Netherlands. So we've got one from Southeast Asia, and then the other one is from Europe, which is good. And I can see that most of you at the moment is from Southeast Asia. This is maybe in the European countries, still summer holiday. Anyway, so you can see Southeast Asia, we've got 8 countries. And then also the participatory agencies, you can see on the right side. And then the European side is on the left. So you can see as well that, the most participating countries that for JFS up to now is from Germany and from Switzerland, Turkey, and also Belgium, Spain. And from Southeast Asia is Thailand is very active as well. And then Indonesia, and then now we've got Malaysia in here. And we have many questions from, researchers from Malaysia, which is good because now they can join the scheme. Next, please, Adele. Okay, so yeah, I have already mentioned about the deadline, but what next after the deadline is that we must have the eligibility check. So the checking is from the call secretariat and the national contact point. So first, call secretariat just need to check whether all the criteria of JFS is already fulfilled, and then we hand it to the national contact point to check how about the national regulation, whether it's proper or not. And after that, in December to February, so we have a proposal evaluation, which 2 stages procedure in this evaluation, because that we have the first evaluation and then the second evaluation. I will explain later about that. And then March, April, we have a final ranking proposal so we have a kind of scientific council meeting discussing about the final rank of the proposal, which is eligible. And then after that, we have funding decision from the program steering committee meeting, which we involve all the funding agencies in there. Next, please. So what you should prepare then? So in this project, what we should prepare is check call details on the website. Don't forget, please don't forget, check the national regulation in this case, because from one country to another would be different. And also it's kind of specific regulation for submission. So we need to ask you, please check carefully for the national regulation. So if you are not very clear, you could call secretariat. But for the national regulation, it's better you ask the national contact point. They are all the list in our website. Okay, so after that, the details is the, of course, that's the thematic area matched to your proposal idea. And then country to participate in the second call. So you can check everything in our website. And then, yes, the national regulation, because that national regulations consist of eligible topics, institution, which institution that could consider to be funded, and then cost categories, funding limits, and then additional national registration or submission procedure. Next, please. And how that you could create the project consortium. So you've got to check to create on the basis of 2+1 rule. So this is the first rule that you should consider about this. Minimum 3 partners from Southeast Asia and Europe. At least 1 from Southeast Asia and 1 from Europe partners must be eligible for JFS funding. What do you mean by eligible? Eligible is, you know, they are all on the list in our website. So you will understand it would be eligible or not. Additional partners from any region can be added. It could be from the JFS funding partners or outside JFS funding partners. But the third party, if it is not from JFS funding partners, they should provide their own funding or from the sponsor funding. Next, please. So the project consortium, okay, who is the right partner? I think I've got already mentioned. So, and then my colleague Adele already mentioned about the partnering tools. So just you can enter the website, JFS website, and then you can register there, and then you can find the partner in this partnering tools, and then you can create the project consortium later and submit the proposal. So because in this partnering tools, you can check and then visit the profile, all the registered in there, and then whether he or she matched to your proposal or, you know, plan of the proposal. And then that functionalities of that partnering tools, that you create your research profile, and then create your project idea, and then create your partner request in there. And then you can, from there, you can search and filter that other researcher profiles and project IDs and also partner requests. So it's quite useful. So after this, if you don't have opportunity to visit the website, so you should visit and then you know, register in there. Next, please. Okay, step 3, this proposal submission. Okay, submitted. So the access is via that the PT outline. So only the coordinator of consortium should submit for the application of the proposal. So in 4 steps, for A is for registration, B is enter application data, C is upload project description, and D is for the submission. Okay, and then later our colleague Vu will explain about how to submit in the proposal. Okay, next, please. I think this is continue by my colleague Fu. Please,
Yes.
Fu.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Finarya. Hello everyone. My name is Tuan. And now I want to talk about the submission procedure of your application. As Finarya told, there are 4 stages for the submission, and the submission can only be done online by the tool called PT Outline. PT Outline is course specific, so you have to make sure that you are using the right link, which you can also see in the previous. Maybe Adele, can you go back to the previous slide, please? Yes, there you can see the link, which is only used for one call, and this is for the 7th call, which is open now. Next slide, please, Adele. And for the first stage, for the registration, please sign in into PT Outline by completing the mask you can see on the right side. The password for the access to PT Outline will be automatically created. So it is very important that you know the password, because for the first time you will really need that password. But after you signed in once, you can change the password to your own. After you have logged in, we would like that you agree with the data policy. It is very important that you agree with the data policy. Without agreeing the data policy, the submission process on PT Outline will not continue. Next slide, please. Here you can see the data protection policy of JFS. We need to comply with the EU General Protection Regulation, and whenever personal data are transferred, we need the respective agreement by the data owner, so it's from you. You don't need to, you have to scroll down in that page, and you will see the box which you need to tick and save. Next, please. Once you have conformed with data regulation, you will come to the cover page. In this cover page, the next stage will start by entering the application data. On the left side of that page, you will see a menu item box, which you can see on the left top of the right side in that red frame. In this menu box, you can see all the items like overview, general information, principal project coordinator, project partners, upload project description, and proposal submission. You need to go through all these points and fill in the information from your general information, like your project, and all the information from the coordinator and the partners. It is very important that only the coordinator of your consortia should sign in PT Outline and enter all the information. So only one person, which is the coordinator, is allowed to use PT Outline in that case. Also on the left side of that page, you can see a box which is called Outlines. This combination of letters and numbers is the ID of your outline, which is also automatically created. Next slide, please. So after you have entered all your information, the next stage is to upload your project description. There is a Word template which you can download, and in that template, you need to fill in all information of your project. After you have entered all the required information in a template, you also have to attach your CV and letter of intent and further documents which are required. After merging all the documents, please upload please upload that information in one document in PDF file. This is really important. So we can make sure that the file can be visible for everyone. Next slide, please. So the last stage is to submit the full proposal. After entering the information and uploading your documents, you can see on the last page, on the last point in that menu item, an overview about your required fundings, and you can download a datasheet preview with all the information you have submitted or entered in the application so far, and check again. Please make sure to do that, to have a check from all partners, and so to avoid any mistakes and to keep your application eligible. And after everyone has checked the information and verified that it is all okay, you only have to click the button of verify submission. But after clicking that verify submission, a new page will load, and will ask you again to submit your application. After you submitted the application, you will receive a confirmation email, which is also really important for you to keep. So please check after your submission if you received an email from PT Outline, because if there is a technical problem from our side or your side, this confirmation email will can be used as a proof for your submission in time. Without that email, it could be very a problem if the application did not receive, it did not save in the system. And another point, important point, is that after submission, no more change are possible to do at that point. So, as I said, it's really important to have a check after all the information are entered and uploaded, and to make a confirmation from all your partners, and then submit your application. Next, please. Yes. Okay, now it's Finarya's turn again. Thank you. You're still muted, Finarya. Finarya.
Okay, after submission, now we need to check all the proposals, whether eligible or not. So the first thing is, of course, from the call secretariat. We need to check about, the fulfillment of joint funding scheme rules. So, if they're all eligible, and then the call secretariat will send to the national contact points for each proposal. So if it is for, that is 2+1 countries, meaning that we've got to send to those 3 countries to be checked by national contact point. And then after that, all eligible, send back to the call secretariat, and then we have the evaluation step 1. So that is online evaluation. So the proposal, each proposal will be evaluated by expert, at least 2 experts, minimum 2 experts per proposal. So what we need to check is all the criteria mentioned in the call for proposals. So we've got to consider this the scientific or technical excellence or innovativeness of the project idea. And then secondly is the potential impact and expected outcomes of the project, and also the marketability of this project. Third one is the management, transnationality, and cooperation. So those 3 are weighed, and then the expert give mark and then send back to the call secretariat. And after that, evaluation step 2 is by scientific council. So all the eligible proposal and then will be reviewed by the scientific council. Each proposal will be reviewed by at least 2 scientific council, and then they will give comments of that proposal, and then as the first reader or second reader in the meeting. And from that meeting, and then we will give the grading of the proposal, and then send that proposal to the meeting, program steering committee meeting, for the funding decision. So that is the joint decision by funding agencies. So in this case, one of the questions or several questions that I've seen on the chat is about the funding. How about the funding? So the funding is actually it's a bit, what is it? I cannot say complicated, but we've got to think carefully about that, because 3 parties have to be agreed to give funding to that, the rank of the proposal. So it would be different from one country to another, but that is accordingly to the rank that given from the scientific council. So this is the last one. This is the info that if you'd like to know about video tutorial, and then about the networking and matchmaking events, and also that JFS will have Meet My Lab program, and then about the funders in the JFS or another call is launched. So just visit our website, or just follow our ours in Facebook or Twitter. And don't forget that you can have a look, or you should have a look to JFS partnering tools. I think that's all. Thank you so much. So I hope that I don't know whether we still have a Q&A for 1 or 2 or from the chat, but it's up to the organizer. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Finarya. And also thank you, Vu, and thank you, Adele. Maybe just before we move to the testimonial, slight change in the program, but a number of sort of similar questions have come up to do with funding. Now, I think, a key message here is the funding is different per funding agency. So therefore, you need to check the national regulations, which are on the JFS website. But there's a related question, which is, if you're forming a consortium and each country's got a different amount of funding available, how do you assure the sort of an equality of workload and responsibility within the project? So I'm not sure who would like to, maybe Adele, do you want to tackle that one? Adele, I think you need to unmute.
Still muted, Adele.
Sorry, I thought that I unmuted it. You can hear me now, right? Okay. Yeah, it's a good question. Of course, your contribution can typically be only as high as the funding which is available by your funding organization. We have very different funding levels, but from what I know, for each partner, it should be possible to give a proper contribution to contribute a kind of research and not like only be a kind of standby partner. The contribution can be different in weight, but it should be a relevant contribution. So that's the most important thing, that if you are contributing to a consortium, that should be important for the project to be successful. So if your contribution is something which is not really required for the project could be implemented also without you, then that would be a problem. But if your contribution is important, sometimes it's a small contribution, but it's a key contribution. So that's also kind of enough. And of course, we consider the budget which is available for you from the funding side.
Can I ask a question? Hello?
Okay, yes.
Yeah. Thank you very much for giving me opportunity just to raise a question. Is the main objective of this project, I mean, in terms of benefit, should come or will give effect in the regional situation, or this one is mainly on the participating country? Which one actually?
It's
the main focus.
You mean the impact of your research, if it has to be relevant for your country or if it's not necessarily directly related to your country, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not actually it should be there should be a scientific benefit. You have to check, of course, your national regulations. Sometimes they have specific requirements, but the joint funding scheme generally does not require, we had that kind of question before, it does not require that you have specific like case studies for each country which is participating. So if you're collaborating in a project and the result is just a gain of knowledge, but not directly linked to your country, it's still helping your country because it helps to develop, it helps to create business opportunities maybe in other countries, but you can be involved in that. It can also be like international opportunities that arise from such a project. So it's not necessary that the topic is directly linked to your country.
Okay. And thank you very much.
Welcome.
I think now we'll just, we've taken a couple of questions. I hope we'll have time for a few more, but we're a little behind schedule. So let's move ahead with the testimonial. This is somebody who was successful in the third JFS call, and they will share with us how they built their consortium, what their project was about, and maybe some sort of lessons learned. So it's my pleasure to invite Dr. Hotomo Serio to share his experience in the third call. Dr. Hotomo?
All right, I hope now you are seeing my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. So, all right, so thanks everyone. So thanks Dr. Finarya, thanks Dr. Adele, and also all the officers who have invited me to give a talk here, to give like testimonials of the project in which like I have already applied and I have already been successfully to get this one. And yeah, I would like to share a bit here regarding the project. The title of the project was basically a silicon nanowire battery. So it's called like C-nanobot. As you might see here, like 3D nano engineer silicon anodes for high energy density lithium ion rechargeable batteries. So And I will start with a short introductions. Oh, wait a minute. I will short introductions. So I'm basically from Indonesia. So my nationality is Indonesian. But then I've been living in Germany since 2010. So I did my PhD here at the TU Braunschweig, and I went to US for a postdoc and coming back as a research group leader at the TU Braunschweig. And during the project proposal and preparation and also submissions, my position was as a group leader at TU Braunschweig, and my research fields in this case is or are nanotechnologies and also MEMS, and especially nanosensors, nanoelectronics. So I've been working mainly in the clean room, developing the devices, nano devices. And basically this nano battery is quite new for me. Therefore, I will show later on in the next slide, like this project can give you kind of like new opportunities, let's say, in terms of like the research field. And my role in these projects as a principal investigator and also as a coordinator of the project, of the silicon nanobot project. Okay, what it is about actually, like the objective of these projects are, the first one is to fabricate local semiconductor nanomaterials. So in this case, like we are using silicon nanowires, in which like I've been working with the silicon nanowire for quite some time, like I mean since my PhD. But then we were using that kind of structure for other devices, for example, for sensors. And the idea was coming up like, what about like using this kind of structures to be implemented in the other area? And in this case, it's for anodes, for the battery. And because we know, like in the current situation, like most of batteries, they are using graphite or lithium metal oxide, in which like they have like limitation in terms of like power and also capacity. And we would like to push down, let's say that, or let's say bring down like the cost of the battery. Therefore, like we are using like the low cost material, like silicon. Silicon is like the most easily found like materials in Earth. And after fabricating the silicon anodes, we would like to implement it as for lithium ion battery, in which like hopefully we will get like kind of high energy density and also long cycle life batteries in this case. And the duration, so maybe like for you to give an idea, so the durations for this project is 3 years. So it started it should be actually started like last year, like in end of last year, but then it's due to the corona time and also like the adaptations or like the adjustments between like its funding agencies. Because I was saying also in the chat box, like whether we should consult with our national funding agency. Yes, so that as a coordinator, so I was like the one who submitted like all the PDF file, but then like the copy and then need to be sent also from its partner in its national or two national funding agency. So it is 3 years. And what about building the project consortium? So actually the idea was coming up when I was invited like many times to come back to Indonesia for having kind of like meetings or kind of conference with the Indonesian colleagues or Indonesian scientists there. And I met Dr. Afrianti Sumboja, who was diaspora before in Singapore, and then but then she decided to come to come back to Indonesia as a lecturer and as a scientist over there. So she has been experienced, or she has so much expertise in the direction of the lithium ion battery. So she changed, or she developed like many lithium ion battery, but then based on different materials, so other than silicon. And I discussed with her, and what about like trying like this nanostructure, like silicon nanostructures, because it's like for us, for at the TU Braunschweig, it's kind of like daily business. So that we have the clean room, we have the top down, we have the cryogenic dry etching, we have other methods as well, like wet etching methods. And what about like just trying to create a silicon anodes for battery using that kind of materials. And then while we were seeing like the call of this Southeast Asia Europe Joint Funding Scheme for the Research and Innovations, we knew like there is a need to have like at least like three teams, let's say, that inside the consortium, so that we were thinking like, okay, because our backgrounds were mainly related to the experimental research, let's say that. So we do like the fabrication, or we do like the developments in terms of like the experiments. And we were thinking like, okay, let's try to get someone with a background of modeling to understand more what we are doing here in this project. And then it was coming up with the idea to ask like Dr. Parasuk from Chulalongkorn University in Thailand to join us in the consortium. And he brought so much experience as well in terms of like modeling and also simulation of silicon anode, so that he simulated before like graphene and other semiconductor materials. So that's how we developed the consortium, but it should be noted here so that that there should be someone who acts as a coordinator in this case, so that it can be in Indonesia, it can be in Thailand, or it can be in any country. So in this case, like I'm responsible for the coordinator in this case. All right, and my testimony for this all the submission process is basically, I mean, like the process was pretty easy. Basically, like all information you can find in on the website. So if you click the website, you click the calls, and then you will see like all the on the list is calls there, like the calls for the proposal. And you need to read, of course, like you need to understand like several regulation or rules for applying these projects. But what I would like now to emphasize here, because I saw also in the chat box, like you have to know like the funding limit in your country. So I saw like the comment from the AIT, because I have also a partner, like project partner also from AIT from Austria, and it can be the case like the funding limit in your country is not what I would say like kind of like typical project in which like you normally get from your country or from the European Union, let's say. In other words, let's say you should not think like, okay, this project, especially from the European partner, like as the only project that you have. So you should have like kind of like backup project in which like you can support this project basically. Because if you think like to fund like one PhD student or one postdoc using this project, it won't be sufficient. So so that you have to have like kind of like supporting funding from your side, and or you can have also like the scholarship recipient to support your research. Therefore that you can think of like how you like prepare of the good finance for your projects. And the second one is related to the output, because it was a question regarding like it should be or not like the output should be implemented in all like the countries. Of course, it will be really good, let's say that, so that in our project, for example, so that this project is related or is included in the high top priority research, let's say, in all countries, let's say in Germany, in Thailand, and also in Indonesia for energy related applications. And here you have to notice that like the maximum output, it has to be like TRL or technology readiness level 4. Meaning like you just cannot like saying, okay, it will be commercialized directly or it will be like large scale and so on, because the thing is that it has to be proved in the laboratory first. And like the scientific background, the scientific output should be like the most valuable things here in this project. Okay, and due to the Corona time, like due to the pandemic, so that we did like our kickoff meeting in March. So this year, like a few months ago, and online. So it had to be online, so that we were restricted not to travel from our country. Therefore, like we did it this meeting online, like what we are doing right now. So as you might see here, like there are a couple of people here. So me from TU Braunschweig, every Pioneer, also my colleague here from TU Braunschweig, and all the PhD students who are involved at the TU Braunschweig, Dr. Afrianti Sumboja from ITB, and also her students, and of course like Professor Parasuk from Thailand, from Chulalongkorn, and Adele is there also, like Dr. Clausen, and also my colleagues, and also my friend Adam Bahtiar from DB, who was also joining the meeting. So that in this case,
Dr. Wasisto, sorry to interrupt, but we're running a little short on time. Could we ask you just to move along a little bit, please?
Sorry?
We're running a bit short on time, so we'd
Okay,
kindly
cool.
just, if you
Cool.
can,
I will.
thank
Yes.
you.
All right. So yeah, for the output for this year, so that we have already published like one paper here in the Journal of Materials and Chemistry A, and we are also currently like submitting also another original paper to a journal. And what I can say is that like this project is pretty unique, because like it's trying to like the research collaboration and technology development among the countries in both Europe and also Southern Asia. So this Asia, and what I noticed is that like this project is just let the involved countries to be committed in bringing the equal contributions. Meaning what? Meaning like they bring also their own money. So so that there is no money crossing the border. Like I mean, like what Adele was saying about. And it creates, of course, like the many new opportunities, like research area, network. I mean, for my case here, for our case here, like a silicon nano battery is quite new, even though like we have been working for the silicon nano structure for a long time, and it can be also used as a starting point for building up, let's say, then the next larger corporations by involving more researchers and also teams. All right, so this is my slide. So I would like to thank to all like the funding agencies here, like BMBF, DLR, and also like LPDB, DP, and also like the NSTDA and NSTDA from Thailand. And last but not least, thank you for your attention. So vielen Dank, terima kasih.
Thank you very much, Dr. Wasisto, for a very interesting presentation. And clearly, you benefited from the program, and were able to achieve much more than you might be able to have done on your own. I think you made a couple of key points. One is that, and I think this applies to a lot of the questions that we're receiving, because the scheme is set up in such a way that different countries have different regulations, different funding amounts, and so on. It's very, very important that you go to the website, the JFS website, where all the information is there, and depending where you're seeking your funding from, you can check with the national coordinator there. Their email address is provided, and you will also be able to read through the national regulations that determine levels of funding, etc. So I think that's a key point about putting together your proposal for this particular call. So please do go to the JFS site. It's very comprehensive. All the information is there. And thank you once again to Dr. Wasisto for sharing his experience. So in the interest of time, we'll move along. Those of you who are joining the climate change breakout room, stay where you are. You don't need to do anything. And if you're joining the sustainable food production room, you should click on the pop-up join now, and I'll be moderating the session there, and I'll see you there in just a moment. So that wraps up the first session for today. And now let's get on and see if our participants can find some projects to develop a proposal with. So thank you again to all presenters for the first session.
Okay. So I just want to make sure that who stay in this room is for climate change. Okay. So shall we start, Adele? Yeah. Okay then. So thank you once again for coming in this breakout room for climate change. And then 10 presenters will, give ideas about, what their plan. So without